Hey everyone, it's Kai from WCC, and today we'll be looking at the new Riviere deck from the Crystal Melody set. And just if there's any audio or video issues, apologize in advance because I'm still on travel, so it's not my optimal setup. But back to Riviere. Yeah, it's the end of the world. Riviere is just this dominating deck that has been destroying Japan for the past X months, ever since released. And we'll look at why it's so good. I've been playing around with Riviere for a bit, and we'll just go through the deck that I've been playing, and I'll just show you why Riviere is pretty decent. So with the grade 3s, main thing is top idle Riviere. She has a come and play, discard 1, counterblast 1 effect to draw 2. But her second effect is that when she, at the end of the battle, you may discard 2 cards and then ride a Riviere from your hand, and then it gets -1 drive. So what this means is that if you ride another top idle Riviere from hand, she will have only a single drive check, but she will proc her on play skill, which is just that draw 2, discard 1, draw 2. So it's pretty much like Raging Form, but better. But the other thing is that she also generates a new force marker, which is pretty amazing. And then you don't have to actually ride the grade 3. You can actually ride a grade 2 or a grade 1 Riviere. And although they will not do a drive check, they will still have the benefit of having a crazy amount of force markers under it if you've just been placing it under Vanguard. So if you've been placing Force 1, which is the general idea, there will be a really fat attack still that will hopefully just be like that last extension that will finish off your opponent. So just being able to do that quite freely, because the rewrite does not require any counterblasters at all. You just need to discard 2 and ride a Riviere, means that it's very hard to damage deny Rivieres, because they'll just always be able to at least use that restand off or re-ride off and then just pummel you in the face. This last grade 3 we're running is Marianne, so we're only running 8 grade 3s. Pretty crazy in this day and age, but yeah, the whole focus in this deck is Riviere. Marianne is just a support for Riviere, so if you're on top idle Riviere, you can discard this card from your hand, draw a card, and then pick a card from your drop zone and put it into your soul. If you've picked a Riviere card, you put it into your hand instead, and then you can only use this effect once per turn across all copies. So ideally, you just use this card to dig on your first grade 3 ride, and then grab it like a grade 2 or a grade 1 Riviere to add it into your hand, just for that extra kind of attack, or just extra boost if you need it, or just overall an extra defensive option. If you were lucky enough to bin a grade 3 either through healing or if you've soul blasted it, then you would just set up a great re-ride already on your first grade 3 attack. But this is generally like more for setting up your second grade 3 turn or more, just from grabbing more grade 3 Rivieres from drop zone and just unleashing those extra attacks. So simple effect, but very, very good, pretty much. Onto the grade 2s, we're running super idle Riviere at 4, of course. Her first effect will be similar to her grade 1 ability, but it's just this new. It's basically doing the re-ride effect. So if you're on grade 2, you can ride this from hand, and then she will get an effect which is she draws a card and then calls out 2 Mermaid Idle Riviere, so the grade 1 Riviere pretty much. So the rewrite itself already is like a ±0 because you draw a card, but then you can randomly generate a +2 by calling 2 grade 1s from soul, and you're like, wow, 2 grade 1s from soul, that might be difficult. But no, it's not difficult at all, because you'll see soon why. Her second effect is a once per turn effect on the rearguard circle. If a Riviere appears in your Vanguard circle, then you can stand it. So very simple effect. When you ride any Riviere, well, when any Riviere appears on Vanguard circle, but it's usually by the re-ride, she will just stand. So attack with this first, do your top idle Riviere's effect to just re-ride, and then bam, she stands again, extends your attack. Pretty annoying. Second grade 2 is Caro. When she is placed from hand onto the rearguard circle, you can Soul Blast 2 and search your deck for a card with the same name as your Vanguard. So this is basically just searching your deck for another top idle Riviere. Very easy to do. You can only use her effect once per turn as well across all copies, so similar to Marianne, but you basically just only need to do this once per turn anyway to just get one, and then your Marianne gets another one, so that's like already 2 Rivieres in hand, and with either like a Riviere on your Vanguard circle, and just get ready to win, right? Last grade 2 running, oh, well, surprise, surprise. Last grade 2 running is Carl. On place, she soul charges 1, and then if your Vanguard is Carl, you soul charge another one. And then her second effect is Soul Blast 2 plus 10k, and then if your Vanguard is Carl, plus another 5k, so it can plus 15. The Soul Charge is nice, just being able to, you ideally ride this first, get your Soul Charges off, and then you use Super Idle Riviere's effect to just re-ride and get your grade 1s out. So this helps you soul charge grade 1s. This also helps you soul charge grade 3s, so that you can soul blast out with your Carol or your Carl effect, and then you can get it back into your hand with Marianne. Now, the Soul Blast 2 is actually pretty important, because the only ways that you're able to soul blast out your top idle Rivieres after you've done your re-rides is through these 2 cards. And then if you don't get them, then they just stuck in soul and it feels bad. But once you get either of these, you can just get them out, and then your Marianne works wonderfully, right, and sets you up for another attack. So Carl is a great card. She also has an extra early game pressure, where you can force your opponent to guard with extra cards. Hitting for 25 or at least 20 just by itself is pretty darn amazing. And then later on, you generally put a lot of your force markers on Vanguard, just to get the maximum value out of it. So her just getting another 10k is just pretty good as well. That's all for grade 2s. Grade 1, surprise, surprise, we are running the Mermaid Idle Riviere. This is actually one of the most important cards in the deck. Her first effect is that if you're on grade 1, you may Soul Blast 1 and ride this from hand. When you ride it through this way, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and search for one card named Riviere and add it to your hand. And then if you Soul Blasted the grade 0 Riviere, you may draw a card. So pretty good. It helps you develop your hand for later turns. If you're missing a ride on grade 2 or grade 3, perfect card to just dig your deck for it. But if you've already got both your sets, you're basically just digging your deck and thinning your deck of Rivieres. Really good to help you set up for your grade 3 turn. She could also search for itself. So your first Mermaid Idol searches for the second Mermaid Idol, which then rides again to get another Riviere card, hopefully. And then your grade 2, you ride Super Idol and just go from there, get your 2 cards out and start pummeling face. If you get more than 2 Mermaid Idols, it is up to you if you want to re-ride again. But now you will probably have a higher chance of missing, so you just Soul Blast for nothing, and it feels kind of bad. She does have a second effect. If she is in the back row, she gets 2k, so she becomes like a 10k booster, which is pretty insane as well. But actually, it doesn't come that much into play unless you have extra Mariannes in your hand, because otherwise you generally don't really hit those nice 23k numbers. But you can kind of like call out early and make an 18 column, which is pretty decent, I guess. But yeah, that's basically Mermaid Idol in a nutshell. Probably the most important card in the entire set, apart from top Idol Riviere, simply because she's able to just develop and fix your hand if you're just missing anything. You're running Aurora from the old set, just a pure dig ability, draw 1, discard 1. You just want your top idle Rivieres. Stedza as well. You want to recycle your Rivieres early, but usually you'll be able to, it helps you dig, or on your first turn if you discard a Marianne, you just put that back and get another draw, so it helps you dig again. Later on you'll put Rivieres back into deck, so you can kind of search it for the next turn, or just overall increase your deck size so you don't deck out. And then lastly, we're running Effie. Her effect is just when a Riviere is placed on the Vanguard circle, you may, if you have 1 or less face-up damage, you may retire this card, draw a card, and countercharge 1. So if your opponent doesn't give you a lot of damage, or just gives you like 1 damage, this card basically extends your combo, allowing you to counterblast 1 and draw 2 quite often, and then helps you dig your deck as well for more grade 3 Rivieres. And lastly, we are running the grade 0 starter. This is kind of required because you're playing Riviere. And then our trigger lineup is 4 heals, 6 draws, and 6 crits. So I know a lot of people do like 6 draw, 6 crit. They might want to run more draws. I personally don't think so. I don't really care that much about 6 draw, 6 crit. I'm quite happy if people run 8 crit, 4 draw. If you look at the new VMC list for after Dragon's Vanity is released, there's some people running the 8 crit lineup. Crits win you the games, draws help you dig for more cards that you need. So I think they're both pretty good. Overall, the deck, the flex slots I'd say would be the Auroras and the FEs. Steza is pretty important just to get you cards, but the rest you can kind of add more grade 2s for more aggression, or just play more grade 1s. This is actually a pretty safe build. I know a lot of decks just only run 11 grade 1s and put the extra slots into the grade 2s. But this one is just kind of a more stable lineup. 8 grade 3s, 12 grade 2s, and 13 grade 1s. So how does this deck actually play? Is, yeah, you just keep on riding top idle Riviere and just bash your opponent's face. One thing of note is that if you're on low damage and you're not able to consistently get off the counterblast 1 and discard 1, draw 2 from top idle's Riviere's effect, you might want to consider not just rewriting again, because I know even though her second effect, her rewrite effect is free, you don't want to just mindlessly discard 2 and ride, because you will eventually run out of cards, and then at some point you might not get lucky in triggering crits, or your opponent was on very low damage and they just go up to like 4 or 5, and then you don't have a hand for next turn. Your opponent will just freely bash your cards, bash your face, and then you don't have a good way to just set up your hand again for another punishing turn. So don't just go YOLO. Sometimes going YOLO is fine, but you know, if you just go YOLO every game, don't expect to just win every game as well. Even though Riviere is great, it does a lot of pressure early. Your opponent will probably be coerced to no guard at 4 quite often, just to take that risk for a good chance of coming back. But if you just go YOLO and not develop your hand, you will just kind of fall apart and run out of steam and die. So be careful. Otherwise you generally want to get your counterblast 1, your draw effect off to offset the cost for the rewrite as much as possible. But overall, yeah, this deck is pretty darn good. It's not many decks can rewrite like 5 times a turn and then just win the game for free. So it's what can I say, alright? What can I say? So yeah, say goodbye to the Excel 2 meta. Welcome to the Force meta, at least until Narukami and Aqua Force comes. And yeah, see you in the next video. I want to go back to sleep because I got woken up by like an earthquake alarm on my phone. So it's like the crazy alarm that I've never heard at all. So yeah, see you guys in the next video. Maybe about more Bermudas or just about random stuff. Alright, bye.